It's July 26, 2023. Congress is packed. The hearing room buzzes with anticipation as lawmakers prepare to question military officials about something that was once dismissed as science fiction. UFOs, or, as they're now called, unidentified aerial phenomena, UAPs. The witnesses aren't conspiracy theorists or fringe researchers. They're former intelligence officers, decorated military pilots, and government insiders, and they're about to reveal information that will shake the foundations of what we thought we knew about our government's most closely guarded secrets. For decades, the official story was simple. UFOs don't exist. Any reports were either misidentified aircraft, weather balloons, or the overactive imaginations of attention-seeking witnesses. The military had no interest in these phenomena. Case closed. But that story is crumbling. Fast. What you're about to discover isn't just another UFO documentary filled with blurry footage and wild theories. This is the real story of how America's own government has been collecting, analyzing, and hiding evidence of unexplained aerial phenomena for over 70 years. The documents are real, the witnesses are credible, and the implications are staggering. By the end of this investigation, you'll understand why the Pentagon suddenly reversed decades of denial. You'll see the classified files that were never meant to see daylight, and you'll learn about the secret programs that operated in the shadows, spending millions of taxpayer dollars to study something that officially didn't exist. But here's what makes this story truly explosive. The people coming forward aren't outsiders trying to break in. They're insiders trying to break out. Military personnel who've been sworn to secrecy for decades are now risking their careers, their reputations, and potentially their freedom to tell the truth. This isn't just about lights in the sky anymore. It's about a systematic cover-up that reaches the highest levels of government. It's about technology that defies our understanding of physics. And it's about questions that challenge everything we think we know about our place in the universe. The truth has been hidden in plain sight, buried in classified documents, compartmentalized programs, and the testimonies of witnesses who were told to keep quiet. Until now. Let's start with what we know for certain. In 2020, the Pentagon officially released 3 videos that had been leaked years earlier: the Tic Tac, FLIR 1, and gimbal videos. These weren't grainy amateur recordings. They were captured by military sensors aboard Navy fighter jets. The objects displayed flight characteristics that seemed to violate the laws of physics as we understand them. But these videos weren't just randomly released. They were part of a carefully orchestrated disclosure process that began years earlier, driven by a small group of government officials who believed the public had a right to know what their military was encountering in American airspace. The story really begins in 2007, deep inside the Pentagon. Senator Harry Reid of Nevada had convinced his colleagues to quietly fund a program called the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, or ATIP. $22 million over 5 years. The program was designed to investigate reports of unidentified aerial phenomena encountered by military personnel. Running this program was a career intelligence officer named Luis Elizondo. For years, Elizondo collected reports, analyzed data, and briefed senior officials about encounters that defied explanation. Objects that could accelerate at impossible speeds. Craft that could hover motionless and then disappear in an instant. Phenomena that seemed to demonstrate technology far beyond anything in the known arsenal of any nation on Earth. But Elizondo grew frustrated. Despite mounting evidence, the program was being ignored by senior Pentagon leadership. Reports were filed away. Witnesses were discouraged from coming forward. The official position remained unchanged. These incidents were not worth investigating. In 2017, Elizondo made a decision that would change everything. He resigned from the Pentagon and went public. Along with former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense Christopher Mellon and rock star Tom DeLonge, he formed To the Stars Academy. Their mission was simple: force the government to acknowledge what it had been hiding for decades. The strategy was brilliant. Instead of making wild claims about alien visitation, they focused on the national security implications. Unknown objects were operating in restricted military airspace. They were demonstrating advanced capabilities that could represent a threat to American forces. This wasn't about little green men. This was about protecting our military and understanding potential adversaries. The campaign worked. In December 2017, the New York Times published a bombshell article revealing the existence of AATIP and releasing the first of those now famous videos. The Pentagon's response was measured but significant. They confirmed the videos were authentic. They acknowledged that the objects were unidentified, and they admitted they didn't know what they were. That admission opened the floodgates. Military personnel who had been silent for years began coming forward. Pilots reported encounters with objects that could outmaneuver the most advanced fighter jets. Radar operators described contacts that appeared and disappeared without explanation. Ship crews witnessed craft emerging from and disappearing into the ocean. Commander David Fravor, the Navy pilot who encountered the Tic Tac object in 2004, became one of the most credible witnesses in modern UFO history. His account was detailed, consistent, and backed by multiple sensors and witnesses. The object he encountered displayed capabilities that seemed to mock our understanding of aerodynamics and propulsion. But Fravor wasn't alone. Other Navy pilots came forward with similar accounts. Ryan Graves, an F-18 pilot, described encounters with objects that seemed to be a daily occurrence off the East Coast. These weren't isolated incidents. They were part of a pattern that suggested something was systematically monitoring American military operations. The momentum continued building. In 2020, the Pentagon established the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force. In 2021, they released a preliminary assessment to Congress acknowledging that UAPs represented a potential national security concern. The report was brief and heavily redacted, but it confirmed that the military had documented over 140 instances of unexplained aerial phenomena. Then came the bombshell testimony in Congress. David Grush, a former intelligence officer with top-secret clearance, testified under oath that the U.S. government had been running a secret crash retrieval program for decades. Not only were they aware of UAPs, he claimed, but they had actually recovered crashed vehicles of non-human origin. The testimony was explosive. Grush alleged that the government had been reverse engineering recovered technology. He claimed that people had been injured or killed in efforts to conceal this information, and he suggested that Congress itself had been kept in the dark about these programs. But Grush's testimony raised more questions than it answered. If such programs existed, where were they operating? Who was running them? And what had they discovered? The answers, it turns out, may lie in a web of classified programs, private contractors, and compartmentalized operations that have been hidden from congressional oversight for decades. The paper trail leads through defense contractors, aerospace companies, and research institutions that have been quietly studying phenomena that officially didn't exist. What emerges is a picture of a shadow system within the government, operating with minimal oversight and maximum secrecy. Programs that began as legitimate national security investigations evolved into something far more complex and controversial. Technology that was recovered or observed was studied, reverse-engineered, and potentially weaponized. The implications are staggering. If even a fraction of these claims are true, it means that the American people have been systematically deceived about one of the most significant discoveries in human history. It means that breakthrough technologies may have been developed in secret while the public was told such things were impossible. But it also raises uncomfortable questions about who knew what and when. How many presidents were briefed on these programs? How many members of Congress were kept in the dark? And what other secrets might be hidden in the classified world of special access programs? The story continues to unfold. New witnesses are coming forward, documents are being declassified, and the pressure for full disclosure is building. What started as a few leaked videos has become a full-scale investigation into one of the most closely guarded secrets in American history. The current investigations are revealing a pattern that goes far beyond individual sightings or isolated incidents. Congressional hearings have uncovered evidence of a systematic effort to compartmentalize UAP information across multiple agencies. The Pentagon, CIA, NASA, and other organizations have all maintained separate programs, often unaware of each other's activities. This compartmentalization wasn't accidental. It was designed to prevent any single person or agency from seeing the full picture. Documents obtained through Freedom of Information Act requests show deliberate efforts to fragment information, ensuring that even high-ranking officials only received pieces of a much larger puzzle. The strategy worked for decades. Presidents came and went, often receiving only cursory briefings about UAP encounters. Congressional committees were told these incidents were being investigated, but the actual findings were classified at levels that prevented meaningful oversight. The public was fed a steady diet of dismissals and debunking, while the real work continued in the shadows. But the system is breaking down. Whistleblowers are emerging from programs that were never supposed to exist. Former employees of defense contractors are speaking about projects they worked on involving materials that didn't match any known technology. Scientists are coming forward with accounts of being asked to analyze objects that seem to defy conventional physics. The testimonies paint a picture of a vast, expensive, and highly classified effort to understand phenomena that the government publicly denied existed. Facilities scattered across the country, from Nevada's Area 51 to underground laboratories in Virginia, have reportedly been studying recovered materials for decades. What they discovered remains largely classified, but hints have emerged. Materials with properties that don't match any known elements. Propulsion systems that appear to manipulate gravity itself. Technologies that could revolutionize transportation, energy production, and our understanding of the universe. The implications extend beyond technology. If these accounts are accurate, it means that breakthrough scientific discoveries have been locked away from the academic community for generations. Research that could have advanced human knowledge has been classified, studied in secret, and potentially weaponized. The human cost has been significant. Witnesses report being threatened, discredited, or worse, for attempting to speak publicly about their experiences. Careers have been destroyed. Families have been torn apart. Some witnesses claim that people have died to protect these secrets. The financial cost is equally staggering. Estimates suggest that hundreds of billions of dollars have been spent on these programs over the decades. Black budget projects funded through congressional appropriations that lawmakers never fully understood. Money that could have gone to healthcare, education, or infrastructure instead disappeared into the classified world. But perhaps the most troubling aspect is the constitutional implications. If these programs existed without proper oversight, it represents a fundamental breakdown in the checks and balances that are supposed to prevent government overreach. Unelected officials making decisions about humanity's future without democratic input or accountability. The current disclosure process, while unprecedented, remains frustratingly incomplete. Much of the testimony has been given in classified settings. Documents are heavily redacted. Key witnesses remain bound by security oaths that prevent them from revealing crucial details. Congress is pushing for greater transparency, but they're facing resistance from agencies that have spent decades perfecting the art of secrecy. The intelligence community warns that full disclosure could compromise national security, reveal sources and methods, or panic the public. Yet the pressure continues to build. Public opinion polls show that a majority of Americans believe the government is hiding information about UAPs. International allies are beginning their own disclosure processes, putting additional pressure on the United States to reveal what it knows. The scientific community is also demanding answers. Researchers who have spent their careers studying aerospace technology want access to materials and data that could revolutionize their fields. The potential for technological breakthroughs is enormous, but only if the information is shared. As this story continues to unfold, one thing becomes clear. We're witnessing the collapse of one of the most successful cover-up operations in modern history. The truth about America's UFO files is finally emerging, and it's more complex, more troubling, and more significant than anyone imagined. The documents are real, the witnesses are credible, and the implications will reshape our understanding of government secrecy, scientific progress, and our place in the universe. What happens next depends on whether the American people demand full disclosure or allow these secrets to remain buried in the classified world where they've hidden for over 70 years. The question isn't whether disclosure will happen. It's how much will be revealed and when. The current process feels controlled, measured, designed to prevent panic while maintaining some level of secrecy. But the momentum has shifted. The days of blanket denial are over. Recent hearings have revealed the existence of crash retrieval teams, specialized units trained to recover non-human technology. These teams have reportedly been deployed dozens of times over the decades, racing to secure crash sites before local authorities or the media could arrive. The recovered materials were then transported to secure facilities for analysis. Some of these facilities are now being identified. Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio has long been rumored to house recovered UAP materials. Lockheed Martin's Skunk Works division has allegedly been involved in reverse engineering efforts. Private contractors like Battelle Memorial Institute have been linked to materials analysis programs. The paper trail is becoming clearer. Congressional investigators have identified funding streams that supported these programs for decades. Money flowed through defense appropriations, intelligence budgets, and research grants. The amounts are staggering, suggesting that this wasn't a minor side project but a major national priority. But the most significant development may be the international dimension. Other countries are beginning their own disclosure processes. The United Kingdom has released thousands of previously classified UFO files. France has established an official UAP investigation unit. Even China has acknowledged that its military encounters unexplained phenomena. This international pressure is forcing America's hand. The United States can no longer claim that UAPs are uniquely American phenomena or that disclosure would compromise national security. The truth is emerging globally, and America risks being left behind in the conversation. The scientific implications are profound. If even a fraction of the reported technologies are real, they represent breakthrough discoveries that could transform human civilization. Clean energy, advanced propulsion, materials, science, and our understanding of physics itself could be revolutionized. Yet these discoveries have been locked away in classified programs for decades. The scientific community has been denied access to potentially revolutionary technologies. Academic researchers have been pursuing dead ends while breakthrough discoveries sat in government vaults. The moral implications are equally troubling. If these programs existed, they represent a massive deception of the American people. Taxpayer money was spent on programs that were never disclosed. Scientific discoveries were hidden from humanity. The public was told that such things were impossible, while the government knew otherwise. The current disclosure process is far from complete. Many questions remain unanswered. Key witnesses are still bound by security oaths. Critical documents remain classified. The full scope of these programs may never be revealed, but the foundation has been laid. The official acknowledgement that UAPs exist and display advanced capabilities has opened the door to deeper investigations. Congressional oversight is finally beginning. Whistleblowers are protected by new legislation. The momentum toward transparency is building. What emerges from this investigation will reshape our understanding of government secrecy, scientific progress, and our place in the universe. The truth about America's UFO files is finally coming to light, and it's more extraordinary than anyone imagined. The documents are real, the witnesses are credible, the implications are staggering. After 70 years of secrecy, the truth is finally emerging. What happens next will determine whether humanity gets access to potentially revolutionary technologies or whether these secrets remain buried in the classified world where they've hidden for generations. The choice is ours. The truth is out there. And for the first time in decades, it's within our reach.